Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zaka Jacob. So Home Minister Amit Shah, in an exclusive interview to the News18 network, has said that as many as 11 UAPA and POTA cases against terror accused were withdrawn by SP and BSP governments previously in Uttar Pradesh. Now this has become even more significant because one of the convicts in the Ahmedabad blast of 2008, for which the verdict was out recently, he has a familial connection with the Samajwadi Party. The opposition is saying that the BJP is simply trying to deflect the issue from bread and butter issues like jobs and inflation. The BJP says security, and particularly those that have resulted in bomb blasts, loss of lives, there can't be a more critical issue than this. Will this be a turning point in the UP election?
यहाँ समाजवादी पार्टी का जो चुनाव सिंबल है ना, तो शुरू में जो बम धमाके हुए वो सारे के सारे बम धमाके उन्होंने बम साइकिल पे रखे हुए थे।
11 ऐसे मामले हैं सपा बसपा के राज में जिसमें पोटा और यूएपीए लगाया था, उसको विड्रॉ कर लिया। जिन पर पोटा और यूएपीए लगा है वो हटाकर केस को हल्का कर आप किसकी मदद करना चाहते हो? सिर्फ और सिर्फ वोट बैंक के लिए। टेररिज्म के मामले में भी सपा बसपा ये जातिवादी और तुष्टीकरण करने वाली पार्टियों का रवैया लचर रहा है।
जो एजेंसी देश की हैं उन्हें कम से कम जांच करनी चाहिए। जनता ने इस बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी की खटिया खड़ी कर दी है।
Let's in fact listen in to that particular chunk of the interview where the Home Minister, speaking exclusively to the News18 network group editor-in-chief Rahul Joshi, has said that both SP and BSP had this soft on terror approach, which is why as many as 11 such cases where there were heinous charges under UAPA and under POTA, which were withdrawn in bomb blast cases like the Sankat Mochan temple blast that happened in Banaras, the railway station blast there. There were a series of blasts in lower courts that happened in Ayodhya and in Lucknow. In many of these cases, the state withdrew the charges, withdrew the cases, and eventually it was the court that insisted and went on to convict many of these terrorists. Let's listen in to that portion of the interview.
तो ये लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का मुद्दा बहुत बड़ा है। अभी जो है प्रधानमंत्री ने एक टेररिज्म का मुद्दा उठाया है। आज हरदोई से उन्होंने बोला, अभी अहमदाबाद में ब्लास्ट केस हुए तो उसमें 38 लोगों को फांसी की सज़ा और करीब 11 लोगों को आजीवन कारावास हुआ है। आज उन्होंने हरदोई से इस बात को उठाया और उन्होंने कहा कि सपा और बासपा के राज में इन टेररिस्ट लोगों को छोड़ दिया जाता था।
नहीं, 11 ऐसे मामले हैं जी सपा बसपा के राज में जिसमें पोटा और यूएपीए लगाया था, उसको विड्रॉ कर लिया, जिसमें संकट मोचन के बम ब्लास्ट से लेके बहुत सारे मामले सेंसिटिव टाइप। आप देश की सुरक्षा के लिए क्या सोच रखते हो, उसका जवाब उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता को सपा बसपा ने देना पड़ेगा। अब आप एक बात समझ लीजिए कि जिन पर पोटा और यूएपीए लगा है या तो आतंकवाद विरोधी कानूने लगे, वो हटाकर केस को हल्का कर आप किसकी मदद करना चाहते हो और क्यों करना चाहते हो? सिर्फ और सिर्फ वोट बैंक के लिए। तो क्या बाकी के लोगों के वोट नहीं है? जो विक्टिम है उनके वोट नहीं है? और ये फील पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में है और कांग्रेस के शासन में भी ढेर सारे ऐसे मामले आए देश भर में। आज मोदी जी के मुख्यमंत्री रहते, आज एक केस इतने कम समय के अंदर बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट के सारे केसों का एनालिसिस कर लीजिए, बहुत कम केसों में सजा हुई है और इतनी बड़ी सजा की मात्रा जिसको पुलिस ने एज अ प्रोसिक्यूशन एफिशिएंसी के साथ कोर्ट को कन्विंस किया, कोर्ट ने एविडेंस को अप्रिशिएट करने के बाद सजा दी। तो टेररिज्म के मामले में भी सपा बसपा ये जातिवादी और तुष्टीकरण करने वाली पार्टियों का रवैया लचर रहा है।
All right, we'll be joined by Sudhindra Badoria, spokesperson of the BSP, Charu Pragya, national spokesperson of the BJP, Kailash Adhikari, political analyst and managing director of Governance Now, and Ravi Srivastav, Samajwadi Party supporter and political analyst, will also be joining us. Charu, the question that's being asked is timing. many of these cases, the blast happened in 2006, 2007. The SP and BSP were in power, SP between 2012 and 2017, and of course BSP between 2007 and 2012. Why raise these issues now? This could have been corrected. After all, Yogi Adityanath has been in power for the last 5 years. This could have been corrected when you were in power. Why raise it now?
Zaka, if there is a problem with the system and if there is a threat to certain people of having that system come back to place, then it is, I think, only fair for our government to sound out this warning. People need to know that they didn't know it earlier, they need to know it now, because this is massive, this is big. You know, a lot of these terror cases were of very serious allegations and nature, and in fact a lot of these charges could not even have been removed by a state government. That is what the Supreme Court had observed later on. So why was the state government going completely out of its way to shield terrorists? Why is that same political party who was in power back then still giving tickets to people who are contesting elections sitting inside jail? Why is it that political party is today allowing people to get away with making statements which are hugely, largely communal in nature, inciting in nature, and not taking any action against it? The reason is very clear. They want to consolidate minority votes. It doesn't matter at what cost these votes
Let
come.
me ask Sudhindra Badoria of the BSP. This is what, I mean, the Prime Minister said this yesterday, and now Home Minister has also said. He's given more details. He says there were 11 such cases. There were 2 in Varanasi, the Sankat Mochan temple blast, the Varanasi Cant railway station blast, both which happened in 2006. And then there were blasts that happened in court premises in Ayodhya and in Lucknow, happened in 2007. One under the SP, the other under the BSP. When your governments were in power, you withdrew as many as 11 cases in those 10 years. Between BSP and SP, you withdrew 11 cases of serious charges against UAPA and POTA charges against terror accused, which was only refused and reinstated by the courts, and the courts then went on to convict these people. So he's accusing you of playing a dangerous minority politics, which is threatening the nation's security. Please go ahead and answer, sir.
Well, if the question is being asked to me, let me put the record straight. We are here to answer for ourselves, and we have time and again proven through our deeds that there is no place for violence, terrorism, criminalization, or communalism in so far as the Bahujan Samaj Party is concerned. Let me also remind those people who are making these allegations against our party that it is they who took Azhar Mahmood to Kabul, the most dreaded terrorist, and till date, the same people are inflicting so many injuries to our Jawans, to all those security forces, and to the people at large. Number one. Number two, we would also like to say this, that time and again, these people are using these alibis for their own failures in politics. They have not, there is, of course, there is the issue of security. The security is both internal and external. On both counts, the government has failed the people of this country.
But Sudhinji, let's talk about these specific... One second, Charu, one second. Sudhinji, specific instances. There was a gentleman by name Shamim Ahmed. He is now been convicted by a court in Ahmedabad, sentenced to death. His father happens to be a member of the Samajwadi Party. There's another gentleman, Tariq Kazmi, who was wanted in the court blast that happened in Ayodhya and Lucknow. And when your government was in power, you withdrew those cases. In both of these instances, the court did not allow the charges to be withdrawn, and they went on to convict these 2 individuals. Do you have any specific rebuttal for these instances? That's my question.
You see, you cannot isolate one. We, as far as we are concerned, the Bahujan Samaj Party is concerned, we not only condemn terrorism, but we take firm and strong action. But at a time when these cases are on and nothing has been proven, there have been many people who have been accused and who have been put in jail, but nothing has been found out against them. So in certain cases, there can be a different attitude. you have to adopt
I'm
that
sorry, that's a
injustice
very
should
feeble
not be done
response.
also.
One
So
second.
therefore, you can't
Can I-
club both of them together. And let me say this, the BJP who is acting now holier than thou in their regimes, I have given you the case when
Azhar Masood,
from
yeah.
the whole plane, who the foreign minister himself took them
Okay,
to Kabul.
two things. Charu, quickly respond.
No,
One
no,
to
no, no,
what? No, no. One to
and
what Sudhindra
they
ji said
are
that
the
they
ones who are
condemn terrorism and
responsible, and
nothing
they
of
are
this
telling
sort
us
happened.
they
There
are
are many
making
accused
these false
who were
and
also
baseless
acquitted by the court.
allegations
Number
because
one.
they are losing
Number
the
two.
court
What
now
about
in the
Masood
election.
Azhar? The foreign minister at that time escorted him and took him to Kandahar.
So, he seems to forget the fact that that was a exchange for our precious citizens' lives. So
Exchange
kindly
for
do
what?
not
For
equate-
bringing in
do not
terrorists and
equate
subsequently
those two
so many
situations.
attacks have taken
No,
place.
I did
I
not
mean, look
speak
at
over
this.
you.
They
I
are
did not
saying
speak
it is
over you.
let her
exchanging
finish her
of
point,
terrorists.
please.
What is this?
Sudhinji, let her finish her point.
I think for you it is very easy to let off people because of whom we are losing Indian lives. For us, every
you have let
single
off
Indian life is
the most
precious. If we can save it,
more
we will move
dreadest
heaven and earth to save
terrorist
that
in
life.
Okay,
this country.
I
let
don't
me,
understand what
one second,
are-
one
I
at a
don't
time,
understand
please.
what
Otherwise,
are
it's not going to
your
help.
time.
It's not going to go
You
anywhere.
don't understand.
Let me-
I don't understand if
Let,
he doesn't
let
know
me
the
let me
basics
now
of a
go. Let me now go
reasonable
to
debate,
Ravi
Dhaka.
Srivastava and to Kailash Adhikari. One second, Charu, I'll come back to you. Ravi Srivastava, please explain, as a supporter of the Samajwadi Party and the wider opposition, how is it that Shamim Ahmed, who is convicted by a court of law, this is not BJP government or a police in one state saying, convicted by a court of law, his father, there are pictures of his father with Samajwadi Party leaders. His father happened to be a Samajwadi Party member. And up until now, for the last 2 or 3 days, BJP has been raising this. And up until now, we have not got any explanation from Akhilesh Yadav or any other Samajwadi Party spokesperson.
Zakka, I think it is too far-fetched to connect a person who has been convicted and his father being a member of a political outfit, Samajwadi Party. I think Akhilesh Yadav has amply explained it, and leaders like Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Amit Shah went to the extent of saying that those who are going on cycle and carrying the bombs on cycle are the terrorists, and those who are supporting them are the terrorists. I think he should first know that Pragya Thakur also carried the bomb on the motorcycle and the cycle only in the Malegaon blast. So, though nobody is a clean person here, but the fact is, what Akhilesh said, he and Anurag Thakur, the now Minister of Finance State, they both were training for territorial army together. So if Akhilesh Yadav is a terrorist, then Anurag Thakur is an equal terrorist. So don't fasten this kind of charges.
No, 1 second. A lot of people train for the territorial army. What has that got to do with terrorism? I mean, that has nothing to do with terrorism. And secondly, from whatever I know, the Malegaon blast case is still being heard in a court of law. And as far as I remember, no court of law has convicted anybody yet because the matter is still sub judice. But be that as it may, let me also ask Kailash Adhikari, and I think this is the critical aspect. These are blasts that happened in 2006, 2007. It's been 10, 12, 13 years since it happened. How much relevance do these issues have today in the UP election campaign cycle? Because the opposition is saying this is the BJP's way of deflecting from the more bread and butter issues, jobs, inflation, lockdown, what have you. Kailash.
Zaka, firstly, I'd like to mention that, court verdicts, the timing and the date that comes, that totally depend upon the courts. I mean, it's upon the registry of the court when the next hearing comes, and what happens in that hearing is under no one's control. So timing could be just, pure coincidental. I'd like to also state, Zaka, that, vote bank politics, I believe personally, is the biggest deterrent to the growth of any society and nation. And the party which has been in power, the maximum in this nation, has sowed the seeds for the vote bank politics, which unfortunately, when the political season is at its zenith, as today it is, 5 states going into elections, one of them being Uttar Pradesh, this entire vote bank politics field, just comes up. Now, looking at the statement which was made by the Honorable Home Minister to your own network, no one can deny that. I mean, even the opposition parties of the state of Uttar Pradesh cannot deny that certain people who were charged with UAPA, they were removed off that charge, which is a very serious charge. Apart from the fact that one of the convicts of the Ahmedabad blast case has some kind of familiar relation. So these are issues which during the election become sensitive, and now it is upon the people, the people of the state of Uttar Pradesh to decide, which way they want.
Sudhinji, while you may want to focus on issues like inflation, jobs, etc., the fact is, and we have seen this as recently as 2019, that national security is a very important issue for the people of this country. People saw Pulwama, people saw Balakot, and that was a critical reason why Mr. Modi was voted back to power in 2019, despite, for example, in Uttar Pradesh, you had a Mahagathbandhan. And yet, this was the defining issue for most voters, even in a state like Uttar Pradesh. So, why are you downplaying this, or why are you not giving a good enough clarification for this issue? Because the BJP has raised this issue. Now, it's up to you whether you want to respond to this issue or not.
I mean, this question is being asked as if our party is being put in the dock for no reason. I think whether it is Kargil or whether it was Chinese War, 1965, 1971, on all, whichever the government, we stand firmly, unequivocally with whichever be the government in support of the national unity, security and well-being of all the people of this country. Now, you are trying to put the allegations of a political party against us, which that is what I'm saying are baseless, and therefore, I mean, the BJP has now at the fag end of the election, when the election is almost going to be over, they are knowing that they have lost the plot, so they are making these false...
No, please, can I
Charu, respond. This is an indication that you've lost the plot.
Nothing to do with
3 phases already done. Almost 150 seats, more than 150 seats already done, Charu.
Absolutely. And, I just want to say one more thing, Zaka. My co-panelist is getting agitated and loud and not allowing me to speak because I'm making sense here, because he's got no answer to the fact that these are political parties which are true terror sympathizers. Like I said, they will go to any extent to consolidate a couple of votes. They don't realize what they are doing to the country. And that is the reason why time and time again, in the last 3 elections, the people of Uttar Pradesh, the people of India have chosen not to elect them. The truth is out for everybody to see, and these elections are also doing the same. It doesn't matter what they say. Today they are counting their chicken before they are hatched. I understand 3 phases of the elections are over, so exactly you need to dwell on the fact that this is not an electoral statement. This is a statement which is sound, which is true, which is based by fact, and which is based by truth.
I have one more chunk from the Home Minister's interview which I want to run. Again, this has become a huge, ongoing, raging controversy around the hijab, and Home Minister Amit Shah, while he spoke to Network 18, he said that his personal view, because the courts are seized of this matter, but his personal view is that whichever school, college, PU college, which has a dress code, which expects students to be in uniform, then that dress code or uniform should be followed by one and all. Let's listen in, and then I'll get back to our guests.
एक और मुद्दा इस चुनाव में कर्नाटका से होते हुए हमारे पास आ गया है, वो है हिजाब का मुद्दा। क्या आप मानते हैं कि मुसलमान औरतों, लड़कियों के लिए ये हिजाब का मुद्दा जायज़ मुद्दा है? क्या रिलीजियस राइट जो हैं वो इंस्टीट्यूशंस में, मतलब स्कूल्स में, इंस्टीट्यूशंस में इनका एक प्राथमिकता होनी चाहिए, वो ओवरराइड कर सकती हैं?
देखिए, मेरा व्यक्तिगत मानना है
जी
कि स्कूल के ड्रेस कोड को सभी धर्म के लोगों ने अपनाना चाहिए, और मामला अब कोर्ट में है। कोर्ट ने अभी स्टे दिया है, कोर्ट सुनवाई कर रही है। अदालत का जो फैसला है वो सबने मानना चाहिए। देश को अल्टीमेटली संविधान के आधार पर चलाना चाहते हैं या विम्स के आधार पर चलाना, वो तय करना पड़ेगा। मेरी व्यक्तिगत मान्यता तब तक ही रहती है जब अदालत फैसला नहीं करती। एक बार अदालत फैसला करती है तो फिर मुझे भी इसको स्वीकार करना चाहिए, सबने इसको स्वीकार। परंतु मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मानता हूं कि स्कूल के ड्रेस कोड और स्कूल के यूनिफॉर्म के हिसाब से ही सभी बच्चों ने वहां पढ़ाई लिखाई
से ऊपर रखना चाहिए।
All right, that was the Home Minister saying in those schools which have a uniform, a dress code, then this has to be followed both in letter and in spirit. Ravi Srivastav, I mean, you can't argue with that, you can't quibble with that. We've all gone to schools that have a dress code.
See, we have gone to schools and we have gone for, we had a dress code also. But the fact is that in Karnataka, these girls were wearing hijab for last so many years, and this was not an issue. Why to make it an issue now? Because you want to divide, because there is a now BJP government who want to create a particular vote bank. And
but Ravi ji, the BJP government in Karnataka has been there for the last 4 years. From 2018, they've been there. If they want to divide, why would they bring it up now?
No, because the next elections are coming. So before that, they want to consolidate again, and this kind of issues will be raised.
Next elections are 1 year away in Karnataka. They want to consolidate 1 year before the election.
Let me tell you that these are the tactics by
this. It's a non-argument.
Charu Pragya,
can
you...
Ma'am, 1 second, I'll come to you. Let him finish though. I'll come to you. Let him finish. Ravi ji.
Your Chief Minister at Uttar Pradesh has been admonished and snubbed by the Honorable Supreme Court and refund the money which they have seized from the CAA protesters. You should know it, that he has been snubbed altogether.
Okay, so Charu respond. Charu respond.
Towards minority.
See, first of all, you know, Zaka, the truth is that what our Home Minister said today is exactly what we have been saying repeatedly, and you and I have had a debate about this. I have said this on your show. The fact is that there could be other schools and colleges which don't require a uniform, but where a uniform is required, you wear it. It's as simple as that. Why drag religion and minority and whatnot into it? It's been given a turn which does not exist, and it is people like Mr. Srivastav here on TV who are trying to make it into something they're not. Consolidate what votes? There's no voting happening, sir. Look beyond politics for a change.
Okay, Sudhin ji, again, you should not have a problem with the Home Minister saying in those colleges and schools which have uniforms, everybody should follow the uniform. Nothing can be more important than education.
Well, the Home Minister has a right to have his view, but the courts are seized of the matter. Insofar as we are concerned, we understand that whether it is college, whether it is job, whether it is other institutions which are there, even in those places, for instance, sports, nobody wears some kind of, they have a certain dress code, they wear that. Now, at the time of elections, all this is being done. This is certainly with a motive. I can say this is being done with a motive, and I think it is not fair to bring those issues into elections which have no relevance whatsoever for electoral purposes.
But if it has no relevance, and maybe you're right,
hunger, employment, farmers.
No, Sudhin ji, maybe you're right. Maybe it has no relevance in UP. If it has no relevance, why are you getting worried? Usko to relevance hai hi nahi, UP mein.
नहीं तो हम कहाँ वरिड हैं? वरिड वो हैं जो वो रोज हल्ला मचा रहे हैं हिजाब पर. हम तो वरिड नहीं हैं. हम तो बिल्कुल वरिड नहीं हैं. हम तो कह रहे हैं कि जो भी कोर्ट फैसला करेंगे उसको माना जाएगा.
Okay, Charu, final word. You're raking this up as Ravi Srivastav says, 1 year for Karnataka elections and of course polarization for the UP elections.
And Zaka, who is raking it up every day? We have maintained what we said in the beginning. Who is supporting protesters? Who is taking out marches and supporting those marches? Who is sending money to the rebellious girls' homes? So the answer speaks for itself. There are people who benefit from minority votes consolidation, and that is not Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay.
The country has woken up to realize that.
Kailash, I'll give you the final word because today it's got to a stage where it's gone ahead from just a protest. Today there is an RSS activist, a Bajrang Dal activist who's been killed in Shimoga. Of course, the police for now are saying it's not related to any of the anti-hijab protests. But this is the surcharged atmosphere that this whole issue has lent ourselves to.
You know, Zaka, personally for me, the hijab issue is not at all a political one. School is an institution which requires students to be disciplined in all aspects. And coming in a uniform is also one of the prerequisites of any institution, such as a school. If the school or an institution requires the students, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, to come in a particular uniform, it is their prerogative. Now, to give it an entire political color just because we are at the zenith of a political season does not make sense, according to me.
All right, we'll leave it at that. You can, in fact, catch that entire interview. The stage is set for what is easily the biggest, most exclusive interview of this election season. Home Minister Amit Shah speaks exclusively to News18 Network Editor-in-Chief Rahul Joshi. Here's a sneak peek of what is expected to come. The full interview plays tonight at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Thanks for tuning in.